Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Tiger Talk. Tonight we're going to have a really chill conversation with somebody that's I've had the pleasure of making an acquaintance of by the name of Adam. I know him via Wes, producer Wes, and we're going to have a conversation about an experience that he had gone through and how kind of his journey in rebuilding the self and kind of getting back to a level of comfort to continue on. And Adam, really humbled to have you on the show. I know you know it's kind of a big undertaking to come on and kind of maybe even speak on these things so publicly. So we want to be as respectful as possible with what you're willing to enlighten us with. For the audience that may not know what exactly took place, if you'd like to maybe start there with what had happened, and then kind of the detriment or setbacks or hurdles that you had to deal with.
Well, it all started in the year of 1993. I went with my brother to get some gas during lunch break at school, and next thing I knew, I was waking up in a hospital. I couldn't remember what happened to me. And I was told I was in a really bad accident. And I couldn't speak for quite a few months after that. But most of that is due to the fact they put a trachea in me, or a tracheotomy, I should say.
So, just starting right there, just the memory seems like it kind of has a lapse or a gap, right? Prior to the accident. And then, obviously, you had to be told about the accident. It's not something that you recall even leading up to it, other than the fact that you were going to, get the gas at the gas station. There's kind of this blur there. And then, first and foremost, I'm glad that you survived the accident. It sounds like it was a pretty serious accident. And then of course, thanking medical science to be able to provide, some type of recovery for you. The thing I wanted to get into is what was one of the first memories that you have of making progress into rehabilitation, into recovery, as far as, exposing you to family and friends, maybe, and trying to get you to, as you were talking, like speaking, but was it more like conversations with other people, or just, trying to relearn words in and of themselves? Like how detrimental was the lack of speaking at that point?
Well, the biggest problem with me speaking is I've got a slur with my voice, and I speak kind of slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And where'd this come from?
Got no joke.
And I had to relearn to speak for quite a while, and eventually I was able to hold conversations and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to imagine just recognizing anyone who was involved in that process. Was there any confusion over who was assisting you, or was that not really an issue? It was more so of like the phonics and getting the words out, like more functionality, or was it all of it confusing?
Well, first I'd like to give a shout out to Iowa Methodist Medical Center, where I did most of my rehab.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was with me the entire time, cheering me on. And I think I could have turned out much worse if she wasn't there. And forgot what I was saying.
Oh, we were talking about
Oh,
going through the process of learning how to speak again. So it sounds like you did recognize that your mother was there. Was
yeah.
that immediate, or was that something gained over a period of time?
Well, I
As far
was
as,
in a coma for a while, so I didn't really know anyone was around me at the time.
Mhm.
And when I came to, my mom was there, and I couldn't remember what happened, which was probably a good thing. And
Oh wow, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
and it took me like 3 months to get out of the hospital, but then I had to go into a rehab facility for about 4 or 5 months,
Mm-hmm.
6 months, sorry.
It's about half a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
The that rehab facility was so. Well, before we get into that, so I just wanted to confirm. It sounds like after this, the coma period, and again, luckily you were able to pull out of that. Whoever was in the room, let's say like your mom, for example, who sounds like she was a big support through all of this, even despite the accident and despite the trauma and the coma and everything else, it sounds like you were able to identify her regardless, right? Whether it was her voice or just her face or her, just her mannerisms, and something was, you were able to identify that, at least that this is your mother in the room.
Yeah, I recognized she was my mother pretty much first off,
Awesome.
because it's it's nice to wake up out of a coma and have someone who loves you there.
Mhm. Okay. And then
And
she was the one, it sounds like, that helped you get into the rehab, or was taking care of you, taking care of maybe the coordination and things with the doctors to get you to the rehab.
yeah,
What was that like? What kind of regiment did they have you on? As far as, was it more exercise or more of like reading or
well, I
speaking?
had to pretty much run the whole gamut of therapy, but most of their focus was on my physical and occupational therapy.
Mhm.
I had that a couple times a day, and it it was a good thing too, because now I can walk and speak
Awesome.
and manipulate things with my hands.
Mhm.
Not real well, might I add, but
Well, that's definitely progress, right? I mean, that's definitely something to celebrate. When I guess when they decided that you have successfully completed the rehab, what was that like? Was there some type of a final test that you had to take, or um, what went into the release period after rehab?
Well, the various departments in the rehab facility did test me to make sure I was ready to be discharged.
Hmm.
And I had to go through several different exercises. And, well, on a personal note, I wanted to walk out of the facility
Nice.
instead of being in a wheelchair.
Hmm.
And, well, I walked out, but I technically wasn't doing it without assistance. But you take what you can get, you know.
Exactly.
I was on a walker and then a cane, and my mom was with me all the time. She pretty much lived at Ronald McDonald House.
Okay. And yeah, I can kind of see even that kind of like evolution, right? You're going from the walker to the cane, and maybe now even you're not using a cane possibly, or
No,
so there was that progression. And I want to also get into, you know when you did get home, I would imagine, like your friends and maybe even things that you were into, like different hobbies or even music and things like that. Was it off-putting or strange to try to re-engage with either those individuals or those activities? Was there
well,
any type of disconnect initially, or was it like riding a bike?
most of my friends kind of didn't know what to say to me when I first got home. They pretty much stayed away because of whatever reason. And I pretty much found solace in music, listening to music, because I could do that on my own, and
Hmm.
there's no wrong way to listen to a song.
That's right. Totally agree on that.
And
Would you say, in that kind of period where you're trying to settle back into, I don't know, let's say you liked a particular band or, country music or something like that, and you're trying to, play the music to get back into that comfort zone, right, of something familiar to you. Were there any aspects of returning home that didn't quite fit back together? Any, difficulties with friendships and things? And it's like, because you kind of said that some of them were hesitant on how to interact with you.
yeah, I still consider them friends. They didn't know how to talk to me and stuff. So
Mhm.
I don't fault them for staying away. And then, like I said, I found solace in music.
Mhm.
And I pretty much listened to that all day because I had nowhere to go and no way to get there. This happened when I was 16, and then I turned 17 in the hospital.
Oh, that's right. About a half a year, and then yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Oh, I was 15, Mom informed me. I was 15, then I turned 16, and I never quite got to take driver's ed. So, and now I'm like 44, and I can't drive, and it's kind of sad, but
Well, on the bright side, it looks like.
What? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would say on the bright side, I mean, it seems like you have regained a lot of your cognitive abilities, right? You're seems like you're able to go to the restroom by yourself. You're showering by yourself. You're online with me now, and you're able to carry a conversation, and I think that's huge. I think the fascinating part, if I could say, of the whole ordeal, the tragedy of all of that happening, is just kind of the resilience that you had during all of that. And I'm thinking about kind of that early stage, right? If it's a long time ago. Obviously, it's over with close to 30 years ago that we're talking about this happening. But it's kind of those building blocks, essentially, where that's great. You come out of the coma and you recognize your mom immediately. But something like, speaking or even saying her name, was more so like a hindrance. And were you thinking the words, but just not able to articulate them?
Yeah.
Or was there kind of a fuzziness?
Not being able to speak was kind of annoying because my mind was full of stuff to say.
That's what I wanted to get into. Yeah.
Say it.
So you had like the regular maybe narration of your inner monologue.
Yeah.
But getting it out there was like a block, initially. And it wasn't like you couldn't remember what year it was or what your name was, or, you know what I mean? Those types of things. Yeah. It was more just this, period of recovery, basically, where you had to, that muscle memory and kind of relearning how to get the sounds out and forming your mouth to make the words.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see yourself, like when you're sleeping, do you have any, dreams or anything where, like, regarding the whole situation, or it's so long ago that it's in your rear view at this point?
I pretty much dealt with it as good as I could, and it's not really an issue right now. But as far as dreams go, I don't remember exact details of my dreams. I just know when I had them, or if I've had them. But sometimes the dreams will feel real and I'll become delusional. But other than that.
But there's no like reliving or anything, like any situation.
No, it's not like a Vietnam vet.
No PTSD or anything like that.
With
okay.
PTSD, yeah. I was trying to think of the term.
Yeah, I'm an Air Force veteran, and that is something. Yeah, whatever side you want. that is something that is a very real possibility. In getting maybe a concussion, or even on the level that you experienced. So I'm lucky myself, but I mean many others. There's actually a guest we were going to have on who suffered a lot of concussions, and I kind of wanted to ask for your advice for anyone that might watch this who maybe is caring for a loved one that's gone through this, or maybe they've gone through this themselves and they're feeling a little bit vulnerable or a little bit weak at the moment, and are losing a little bit of that drive to push through. Like, what kind of advice would you want to provide, thinking back on how you were feeling and what you went through and what kind of helped you get through, other than, I know the music was a big thing. What would you like to share for them to, from your experience, basically?
Well, I would just tell them that to be patient it takes time to relearn things and get better at your own pace, not what society thinks you should be better. I mean, it's like you say on movies and TVs, people wake up out of comas and they're just fine.
Yeah.
No, it don't work like that. I wish it did, but again, you just have to be patient with yourself and with others. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Patience and time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty spot on what you mentioned about watching a movie. I think I'm even prone to that train of thought, and it feels a little bit silly now or ridiculous. Just kind of hearing you talking about it is, you have somebody that's in a coma, and yeah, a lot of the times the drama in and of itself is the coma, but once they wake up, then it's, everything's peaches and cream. But that's kind of really when a lot of the hard work has to begin, right? And there's a whole journey for that person to try to get themselves as close to 100% as possible, right? And
Yeah.
So I just really think that there is a lot to be said for just your will and the apparently you were such a decent person, a decent son, that your mother took the time to help you through everything. Do you see continuing to progress going forward, or do you think there was like a plateau as to what was possible?
I think I pretty much did all the improving I'm gonna do, but I may surprise myself and
there you go.
And actually learn to drive, for example. And
that's what we should do. We should actually get everybody on the PSF. Maybe we could one day in the future all make a vow to get rid of our gas cars, right? And maybe get one of those self-driving Teslas.
Yeah.
or maybe if the price drops, right, then we could get one of those self-driving Teslas, and then you're on the road. You have that freedom.
Yeah, I wish.
I mean, it's a very real possibility. It is. It's just kind of a monetary thing at this point. But yeah, you could be in a car driving.
Yeah, I could be. But
do we have any questions from the audience? Does anyone want to ask Adam anything? Maybe he said something that was resonating to you personally. Maybe somebody that you know in your family that has gone through this, or just anything that you found interesting that you wanted to ask Adam. Of course, as respectful as possible. We'll probably give about a minute or two for anyone if they had any questions. Oh, Cat the Humanist says that her brother is getting a Tesla. I always wonder about that. Not to tangent here. If you get a Tesla, could you be an Uber driver but not really be in the car? But that'll be on another episode. But I'll give it another minute or two here in case any of y'all had any questions for Adam. I want to say hi to everybody in the chat, though, while we're waiting on that. We have Black Female Atheist. At least that's the YouTube handle. I know her as Jenna. We have Cat the Humanist, as I mentioned earlier. Producer Wes is in the house. I think we also have theoretically, there he is right there. Theo, really appreciate you guys coming out and checking out the show. Feel free to like the video, or again, you guys have an opportunity right now to ask any questions. I think I do see a question here. So we do have a couple of questions from Amuse Arena. One is, Adam, what is your favorite music, and do you think it's different than before the accident? Do you think your music taste? I mean, obviously, our music tastes will change over time, but I think this question is being
Yeah.
specific to: was there something that you were a diehard fan of prior to that maybe your friends or family told you about? Like, say, hey, you used to be into Kiss, right? And then after the accident, maybe you're into Toby Keith or something like that.
Well, I was into rock music before the accident,
Uh-huh.
and then after the accident, I'm more into heavy metal. You know,
Okay.
like,
Stepped it up a little bit.
yes, and it's it's more than just screaming. We'll put it that way.
Any particular reason you think, other than the songs themselves, do you think there was any particular reason why Adam prior accident liked this particular type of music and Adam post accident has a change of taste, or do you just chalk that up to progression
Well,
and time?
it was like I didn't have many friends in school. I was the fat kid, and basically everyone just bullied me and stuff like that. Except there was a few people like Wes, for example, who actually showed me a little kindness here and there. But
Kudos to Wes. Definitely love to Wes, man. He's a really, really good dude. And I would tell you otherwise. So I really appreciate it hearing that about him, because I know I'm working with him on a twice a month basis. So yeah, it's really, really, really good to hear that. Especially during that time, it sounds like, I mean, he could have easily been one of the other types of contributors to your experience. So, okay.
Yeah.
There was one more question here from Kat the Humanist. I want to make sure that I have it here. So Kat is asking, how is your short-term memory affected by this?
Well, my short-term memory is kind of shoddy at best, and sometimes it doesn't work at all, and other times it works partially. So
now, when you're saying short term, is that like for you 15 minutes or less, or a shorter window than that, or larger?
15 minutes, but then I'll remember it like a half hour later, and then
I see. It's not like it's completely gone. It's just compartmentalized, and then it's kind of like brought back to the foreground. Okay.
Yeah, my inner democracy works just like Washington. Nobody talks.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Do you have any workarounds for that? Any? Are you? I don't know if you ever seen the movie Memento, where there's a gentleman who has extreme short-term memory issues. He has to actually get tattoos on himself to remember major life events. So that way, this particular person in his life can't manipulate him and things like that. I mean, obviously you're not, like you said, you have a 15-minute storage and then kind of a recall later. But what types, I mean, obviously you're not tattooing yourself, but I mean, did you have any like workarounds for this, or did you have like a notebook or like a composition book or anything to keep track of certain things?
Sometimes I write things down. Other times I just pray I don't forget. And Wes wants to know if I'm still into superheroes. Yes, I am, Wes. I sold my comic book collection, but that that doesn't stop me from going to the local comic book store and seeing what's cool and new. Personally, I didn't want to pick it up because I missed so much during my rehab and hospitalization. It's like they killed Ghost Rider and then brought him back, and then they killed the Punisher and brought him back, and then whatever. It just
Captain America
confusing.
had died and come back, and
Yeah.
with the whole Winter Soldier thing. Yeah. I mean, and Wes, to touch on your question, I mean, based on what he was saying about your interactions earlier on, especially what he was going through, I would dub you a superhero in, the most general sense. So, really like to hear those types of things about, especially people that I know. So, I mean, it seems very legitimate and from the heart. So, I just wanted to add that, those 2 cents there. Amuse Arena says, I find music therapy and what it does in our brains interesting. Cranberries was gateway to symphonic metal for me, but others might get soothed with it, with other instrumentals. Yeah, that's. I think I would be kind of in the same camp where you never know what type of music will be soothing, right? I might be listening to a Rob Zombie track. You know what I mean? And that's calming me down and keeping me, level-headed through some type of stressful situation. Whereas somebody else might want, Michael Jackson or whatever it is. So I think we all have to, but I think the overarching concept here that we're getting into is music therapy. And I think you're a living example of that, Adam. So yeah. I think that's a big takeaway from the conversation is music does have a way to heal, and it's been very useful in this situation. And I'm glad to just kind of see that we were able to have this chat. I know it was kind of up in the air if we were able to set time aside to actually get through it. I really appreciate you coming on, and maybe hopefully we can have you on in the future. I wanted to go ahead and give everybody an opportunity to like the video if you haven't yet. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. If you have, much thanks to you. And thanks again to our patrons, Sonny Shell and Phil Calderon. And this has been another episode of The One Good Reason. And with that, I bid you farewell, Adam. You're welcome to hang backstage with us after the show if you wanted to have a little short chat. Other than that, Wes, go ahead and beam us up.